know for breakfast.
Kamala, I call her Laughing Kamala. You ever watch her laugh? She's crazy.
President Joe Biden has announced that he is no longer seeking re-election. This has paved the way for his Vice President Kamala Harris, who seems to be the likely candidate. But does she actually have a chance of beating Donald Trump? Kamala Harris is a former California Attorney General and the daughter of Jamaican and Indian immigrants to the US. She is the first female and first woman of color to serve in the role of vice president, and will make history again as the Democratic nominee for the presidential race. Her legal experience and record of campaigning on reproductive rights is seen as an asset by many Democrats following the Supreme Court's decision on Roe versus Wade. Whilst betting odds have put Trump way ahead, the polls are actually much closer. One poll by NPR has actually put Kamala Harris 1 point ahead of Donald Trump. Darrell West from the Washington-based policy analyst Brookings Institution says Kamala Harris shouldn't be written off.
Several of the leading Democrats who actually could have contested this campaign already are starting to come out and say they are not going to seek the nomination. So Kamala Harris will be able to reset this campaign. The polls have actually been moving in favor of Donald Trump over the last few weeks. I think her likely nomination will put Democrats in a strong position. She'll be very competitive in those crucial Midwestern states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And I think she also will put some of those other swing states that have started to slip away, places like Arizona, back in very strong contention for Democrats.
Kamala's big advantage could be her age. The Trump campaign's biggest attack line on Joe Biden has been about his age and his mental capacity, but that no longer applies with Kamala, who's only 59 years old. In fact, the Democrats could even turn it back on Trump, who at 78 years old has now become the oldest presidential nominee in history.
Trump wanted to run against Biden. He really thought he could take Biden, and in fact, the polls were showing that he could have been very successful against Joe Biden. So I think it's going to create problems for Republicans in the short run, in the sense they're just going to have to recast the whole thrust of their campaign, which was saying Joe Biden was too old, he couldn't do the job, his family was corrupt. All that disappears now. But I'm sure they will quickly go on the attack. They will note that she came out of the state of California, which is more liberal than the rest of the country. So they will end up with new talking points against whatever this Democratic ticket turns out to be.
But it's not all quite that simple for Kamala. She will still face major obstacles to her leadership. First of all, she will need to unite the Democrats, as there is still some doubts about her leadership within the party. There has also been some unrest about how Kamala Harris's team prepared their presidential bid whilst Joe Biden was still running for president.
She doesn't have support from all corners of the party. There are still concerns about her. There are concerns about her sort of shaky performance at the beginning of her tenure as vice president. She didn't run a very good campaign for the Democratic nomination in 2019. And of course, she will also have to deal with the U.S. history of racism and sexism, which are going to be factored in to her campaign. And are things that she will have to, challenges that she will have to face. I'll be watching for how Harris consolidates support. I'll be watching for whether or not the money that had apparently dried up for President Biden now starts flowing again from donors for Vice President Harris and for the Democratic Party. I'll be watching for how, who supports her and who calls for more of an open convention.
So as the Biden era comes to an end, could America be ready for its first female president, or are we headed for Donald Trump 2.0?